Much. Well, this is a small but I hope very select audience, and I'm going to try and do something different in the next 15 minutes. Just to set the scene on media campaigns, I thought it would be important for you to actually see some of these campaigns. So I'll put together a slideshow with a few little clips, and I'll make some comments about the campaign. And I hope that will set the scene for the other three speakers to give you a framework to think about what they're going to say. However, I'm slightly disconcerted because you will see that instead of my rather nice green crescent on my first slide, I have something in red saying partly edited version. So we may have a few technical glitches, but let's see how it goes. And my esteemed assistant over there is going to run the first movie, please.
Okay, children, let's take our seats. This morning we're going to have a special lecture from your school counselor, Mr. Mackey. As your counselor, I'm here to tell you about drugs and alcohol and why they're bad, okay? So first of all, smoking's bad. You shouldn't smoke. And alcohol is bad. You shouldn't drink alcohol. And as for drugs, well, drugs are bad. You shouldn't do drugs.
So this is a satirical American cartoon called South Park, and they're being satirical about a typical school lesson, just saying drugs are bad, alcohol is bad, smoking is bad, tobacco is bad. And that's what a lot of drug prevention is actually like, isn't it? Unfortunately. And drug prevention campaigns tend to aim to scare people, to frighten, to disturb them, to warn them of the dangers, to speak of the terrible consequences. They try and tell young people what to think. They lecture them. They ignore what young people already know. They try to manipulate young people's beliefs and feelings. They don't take account of how sensible most young people are. In all our cultures, most young people don't even try illegal drugs. And if they do, they probably use them reasonably sensibly and for short periods. And in particular, media campaigns, drug campaigns generally, media campaigns in particular, ignore parents. And they're probably the most important target group, the people you could most easily reach through these messages. And in many cultures, they forget about the most dangerous drugs, alcohol and tobacco. So I'm focusing on media campaigns in this presentation because they're very visible to the general public and they can reach large audiences, which is a good thing. Politicians love them because they can say, oh, we've been doing something, you've seen it on the TV or you've seen it on the billboards. Most of them are very poor and need improvement. And historically, I'm going to show you some clips, some very old clips. I make no apology for that. I want you to see the progression or lack of progression in the sophistication of these campaigns. But don't forget that there are many other kinds of prevention. This is just one sort we're talking about here. And as you'll hear from other speakers, media campaigns have very limited evidence of effectiveness. And if they are going to be at all effective, they definitely needed to be linked to other kinds of prevention, not just standalone campaigns. So I'll show you some poor quality campaigns. I'll give you some suggestions for improving and examples of what I think are better campaigns. So yesterday, Gilberto Guerra showed you a slide very briefly of 2 fried eggs. I don't know if you spotted this. You may have been very puzzled by seeing 2 fried eggs. Well, this is why. Can we see this, the fried egg video?
Is there anyone out there who still isn't clear about what doing drugs does? Okay, last time. This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Okay, so why is it bad? Well, it's a silly analogy. Eggs are not brains, and frying pans aren't drugs. Drugs don't fry your brain. There's no subtlety to this ad. There's no suggestions for action. What should I do? What do you want me to do? I'm watching this stuff. What does it mean? What am I supposed to do? There's nothing there for parents and so on and so forth. It's a bad campaign. Let's have another scary example. Go ahead.
That's how I started. I just wanted to try it. Now, if someone tells you he can give it up, he's a liar.
Adesso è solo questo il mio problema.
Now it's my only problem. The rest is nothing. When things went badly, I ended up on my own. It's a sort of obsession.
Whoever gives you drugs is killing you.
So the slogan is, whoever gives you drugs is killing you. What's the point of it? You know, where does it get you? It doesn't help, does it? So they're old ones, but let's have a look from another American one, the Montana Meth Project. This is more recent. So let's have a look at this.
If I had asked, what does meth do to your brain? Does meth make you hear voices? Or if I asked, can't you just stop doing meth? My mom wouldn't be asking.
Oh God, what did you do? Oh, hold on, please. Honey! Hold on, wait, honey, no!
So, meth is a horrible thing, okay. Well, to be fair, there is and are other parts of that campaign. But is it effective? Let's go to the next slide. Why can't I get the next slide? So it's claimed that this method of frightening people is effective in preventing them from using drugs, but is it? Why can't I get... okay. So, well, teenage meth use did decline as a result of this campaign in Montana after 2005. However, it was already dropping at least 6 years before the launch of the ad. So you can't say that the ad campaign was the cause of this. And in fact, a critical review published in a peer-reviewed journal, Prevention Science, found that the Meth Project own data suggested that exposure to the ads led to an increase in the percentage of teenagers who believed that taking meth is socially acceptable and not dangerous. Now, this is the boomerang effect, where you tell people something that is way against what they believe, and they go, well, that can't be true, they must be lying to us, I'm going to think differently. It pushes them back in the other direction. So this is the iterogenic effects of such campaigns that people have been talking about. And doctors have to obey the Hippocratic Oath, don't they? Do no harm. Well, we prevention people ought to have to obey our own Hippocratic Oath, do no harm, and not do campaigns that are potentially dangerous, I think. That seems an obvious thing. So let's have a different approach then. Can we encourage young people to say no to drugs without scaring them? Well, back in, I think, about 1987, Nancy Reagan, who for the young ones among you was the wife of President Reagan, and Clint Eastwood, for the young ones among you, he's some kind of aging film star, I understand. They did this ad. Let's have a look at this one.
In the next few months, the motion picture industry and theater owners will be bringing you a series of messages like the one you just saw. I don't think anybody will miss the point. The thrill can kill. The drug dealers need to know that we want them out of our schools, neighborhoods, and our lives. And the only way to do that is to take the customers away from the product. Say no to drugs and say yes to life.
Of course, your local drug pusher may tell you a little something different about these drugs. And who you believe is up to you. But then again, if you go ahead and try them, at least it won't be out of ignorance. Just stupidity. What would I do if someone offered me these drugs? I'd tell them to take a hike.
What would I do, says Clint, if someone offered me drugs? I'd tell them to take a hike. Well, judge for yourselves. Is that going to work with young people? I don't think so. And just say no. That gets you nowhere. What do you do as a result of just saying no? Or can you, as a young person in a peer group, is it easy or even possible to just say no? So more sophisticated campaigns try to help young people to say the right thing and gave them examples of the kinds of things to say. And in this ad, the young boy, Mike, is exploring different ways of saying no. If we can get it, so let's have a look at this one.
You don't want to smoke weed. Turning down friends can be tricky.
Hey, Mike, want some?
No way, man. That stuff's illegal.
Hey, Mike, want some?
I'm allergic.
Hey, Mike, want some?
No. I gotta stay level.
Mike, want some?
Time out. It's just not for me.
It's cool.
Be confident. Be honest. Just be yourself.
So it's a worthy attempt, I think a bit laughable, and really not reaching young people, I feel. And certainly if you look on YouTube, you will find some nice parodies of that advert. So it's not terribly effective, I think. It's unrealistic. Well, another American campaign, a lot of the campaigns, as you will appreciate, are from America. They've done far more work than us in this area. And they have evaluated many of the projects, so that's a good thing. And this campaign is part of the, what was called the Above the Influence campaign, which check out on the web, because there's lots of other ads. But this one is, I've slowed it down a bit, so it's just so you can hear the words a bit better, because in the original it's quite fast, so it sounds a bit dreary, but that's not how the original is. So let's see this one. I smoked weed and nobody died. Weed is marijuana or cannabis.
I smoked weed and nobody died. I didn't get into a car accident. I didn't OD on heroin the next day. Nothing happened. We sat on Pete's couch for 11 hours. Now what's going to happen on Pete's couch? Nothing. You have a better shot at dying out there in the real world. Driving hard to the rim, ice skating with a girl. Now you want to keep yourself alive, you go over to Pete, sit on his couch till you're 86. Safest thing in the world. Me? I'll take my chances out there. Call me reckless.
So that's a bit more, call me reckless, he says at the end. So the idea is he's going to do something sporty and more dangerous than smoking cannabis, in fact. So it's a breath of fresh air in a way. That's a much more interesting way of approaching it. Whether it's effective, of course, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's different. Let's have a look at a more positive one. I hope this is what this is. Let's have a look at it.
Սա քո ազատ ընտրությունն է։ Դա հնարավոր է։ Դու զբաղմունք ունես։ Դու մենակ չես։ Դու ընդունված ես։ Դու հաջողակ ես, երջանիկ, ազատ։ Կախվածությունը քեզ համար չէ։
So I quite like that. That's Armenia, and I like the fact that it puts, the guy leaves the drug images on the TV behind him and he goes out and has fun with his friends. It's a bit unfortunate that they're using spray cans, which, because you probably know, some kids abuse to get a high from, but anyway, it's an attempt. What comes next? Oh, yes, so amusing messages are good too, and the alcohol industry advertises alcohol in very amusing ways, so it's interesting to counter the alcohol industry with an amusing anti-alcohol ad. Can we see this one?
Have you seen yourself when you're...
I just might have time for this one. This one is interesting because it looks at self-esteem. It's a Dutch advert. Let's see this. Sorry about the quality. So I like this because it's addressing the question of when someone's feeling bad about themselves, they might turn to drugs. And then that might temporarily make them feel good about themselves. But there are other ways of dealing with this situation, as you will see.
You're healthy without drugs.
You're healthy without drugs is the slogan. That appeals to me. I don't know if it appeals to young people. Probably not. But who knows? So I'm going to skip this because I'm running out of time and give you some key points. So in conclusion, drug prevention is actually a difficult thing. These aren't simple things. It's hard to get right. You need to do the work to get the campaigns right. And many people have tried, many people have failed. Most of the efforts have been ineffective or even, as I said, counterproductive. But I do think we need to keep trying and get it right. What can we do to get it right? Well, these points are adapted from the UNODC. identify the target groups of the campaign. You can't have these broad campaigns aimed at everyone. They've got to be focused on who you want to reach, whether it's an at-risk group of young people, parents, or whoever. The campaign must be based on sound theory and science. What are you trying to change? How are you trying to make the change in young people? The campaign needs to have formative research. If you were working in advertising, you would do research on a target group to see if your campaign had an effect. Often that's not done in prevention. The target group needs to receive enough exposure. Often we don't have the budgets big enough to give enough exposure over a longer period, but we need big budgets if we're going to do these campaigns. They won't work otherwise. Include parents, I can't emphasize that enough, and don't do campaigns on their own. Connect them to existing campaigns. And I'll reiterate, don't break the Hippocratic Oath. Your campaign should do no harm. One final quick video, then I'll finish. Can we see this one, please?